Eddie Hearn gave his comments first. I want to first go to Dillian Whyte because it's honestly shorter. We're going to delve into the IFL interview by Eddie Hearn, or with Eddie Hearn, and go through like 10 minutes of that and really dissect what he is saying. But at first, Dillian Whyte going on Twitter saying, "I'm so disappointed with the rubbish that has been said about me over the last few days. I have lawyers dealing with it, and I have been told that I can't talk about it for good legal reasons. I was cleared to fight, and I won that fight fair and square. Thanks for the support." And a point that I'm going to make throughout the Eddie Hearn clip, the "I was cleared to fight" defense. Not a great defense. And I'll get to why that's not a great defense later on. But let's get to the Eddie Hearn clip on IFL. Let's dissect what he says about this situation, what he confirmed by of the Thomas Hauser report, what we sort of now know as fact. Plus, there was a Daily Mail article that came out concerning the hearing hours before the Rivas fight. But let's get to it. Rob, if you're listening, I know you're not in studio. Just call in on Skype if you want to talk about this stuff. I know you're not in studio. I know you're feeling a little better, so if you want, call in. But let's get to this Eddie Hearn IFL interview, which is a good one.
First thing is as I said on Twitter last night, both fighters tested during camp, during the fight, on the fight night, by VADA and by UKED. Okay? VADA is a testing agency, independent agency, which Dillian Whyte personally paid for, right? $40,000 or whatever it does, as he has done for all his fights, to take part from 12 weeks before the fight, all the way up to the fight, testing him multiple times, all of which all reports have come back negative on, etc., etc. So both bodies approved, if you like, that he can fight on the night, right? And
I'm going to stop there before we move on. That's the first part, first thing that he said right there at the end is the first lie, so to speak, that he is saying in this interview. And he's clever with how he worded it with approves, so to speak, approve, not actually using that term outright, adding sort of qualifiers to it, because VADA they don't adjudicate the cases. They test. They're a testing agency. They're a collection agency. They're not a regulatory body in the same way that commissions are in the U.S. or that the British Boxing Board of Control is in the U.K. It's not. Similar to UKAD. Like UKAD, traditionally speaking, is more of a collection agency, while the British Boxing Board of Control is the one that determines sort of suspensions, to be quite honest. That's usually how it goes. So, but specifically to VADA, VADA does not adjudicate any of their cases, period, point blank. They do not. So, Eddie Hearn saying that VADA approved of this fight is not accurate, because they don't approve of fights, period. At all. They test. And then whoever has jurisdiction of the fight, in terms of licensing, they determine the punishment of those tests. Whether it be Nevada State Athletic Commission, whether it be British Boxing Board of Control, they're the ones that determine the punishment of tests. So Eddie is wrong there. Most of what he said before that is right, and also a confirmation of the reporting. Nothing said before I stopped right there is contrary to what Thomas Hauser has reported. We'll continue.
British Boxing Board of Control, obviously, because he wouldn't have been able to fight otherwise, right? Dillian Whyte had a hearing before this fight, and this is the information that I'm allowed to say, and I wanted to say this, but you'll get a lot more information on this tomorrow. He was asked to be present at a hearing or have a hearing by an independent panel, association through the UKAD rules, to provide information to them regarding an issue they had. Okay? Dillian Whyte was...
Again, quickly, confirmation of the reporting. Nothing is saying right there is contrary to what has been reported. Just want to add to that.
Cleared by that panel to take part in this fight against Oscar Rivas. Therefore, in association with the rules of the British Boxing Board of Control, was approved and cleared to take part in this fight. That is really important for me because people think that this news came and it was brushed under the carpet and no one knew about it and we just sort of... No, a process was adhered to. A hearing was had to hear this case. And he was confirmed, cleared to take part in this fight. That is not a hearing where Eddie Hearn is on the panel, wasn't even there, didn't even have a representative. This is not a hearing where Eddie Hearn works for the British Boxing Board of Control. Dillian Whyte provided information during that hearing and was cleared to take part in the bout. So please understand that before this bout, this situation was dealt with. Okay?
First off, to say, quote, the situation is dealt with is not accurate because the B sample had not been tested at that point and still not has been tested, as far as we know. And as far as Eddie knows. Eddie later on in this interview talks about the B sample maybe being tested later this week. So it's not dealt with. It, like, innately is not done. They allowed him to fight. That is confirmed. And again, not contrary to any of the reporting. So Eddie is not getting on here and actually defending himself well in a sense because he's not rebutting the reporting, the essential reporting. Was there a hearing hours before the fight? Yes, Eddie just confirmed that. Dillian Whyte knew about it. And I believe later on he goes on to say all parties were aware they needed to know. Us, White, British Boxing Board Control, UCAD, does not mention Rivas' team or WBC. VADA does not mention them at all. We're going to get to that part in a bit. But again, I just want to keep hammering this point home. He is not rebuting the reporting at all. Not here. And on top of that, and I'm going to keep also adding to this point, this defense that the process is therefore clearing the situation of any wrongdoing. No, that's actually quite contrary to, I think, what the main criticism is of this situation, was that a fighter was able to pop dirty for a substance. His A sample popped dirty. B sample is still yet to be tested. Days out before a fight, has a hearing on it. They allow him to fight. His opponent does not know. The media does not know. There's no transparency. And that process is actually the process. That is policy. That is actually one of the main issues and criticisms of this situation. It's not a defense, Eddie, and others out there that are using this as an excuse. To say that, oh, well, this is the process, this is policy, it's fine. No. Actually, that is the main issue why it's not fine. Take out Dillian Whyte's name, take out Eddie Hearn, throw in Tyson Fury in this case. It's the same issue. Okay, throw in any fighter, any promoter, any sort of situation. We're talking about Team A and Team B. Only one side knows that they have popped dirty and the other side doesn't before a sporting event. And there's hearings on it and the other side doesn't know about it. And that being on paper policy. No, that's actually the main issue here. It's not that Dillian Whyte popped dirty. That's actually not really the main issue at hand. I want to get that through people's heads. Because people think that UK fans, Matchroom fans, that they need to defend Dillian Whyte's name in this situation. Look, throw out Dillian Whyte's name out of this situation, to be honest. The fact that this is policy should be major headline news across the board. because this is not okay. This is not fair policy to the athletes. It just is not. It is not fighter safety first. It is not anything of that sort. But let us continue, because I will keep hammering this point with other things that Eddie says.
The stuff that's come out since, again, you'll see from Dillian Whyte's statement tomorrow. There's lots I want to say, because...
By the way, we just read Dillian Whyte's statement. Nothing was really said there.
I know not all of the information, and don't forget that the relationship between UKAD, the board, and Dillian Whyte is a confidential one under their rules.
Yep.
But it's frustrating because I want you to know as much information as possible for this. But that's the information that I can give you, which is very important, particularly the case that this was heard prior to the bout. Not, all right, we'll worry about it later. Not, don't tell anyone, we'll just get on with the fight. No, this was heard prior to the bout, and he was cleared to fight.
I think what people want to know as well is...
And again, that's not rebuting any of the reporting, Eddie. That's actually confirming it.
In that article, again, you just mentioned you can't. There's certain things you can and can't say, but there was something on the 17th of this test. This field test came on the 17th of July, 3 days before the fight. So did somebody at the board know about this test and still allow this field test and still allow Dillian to go into this fight?
What I can tell you is that the board and UKAD knew, and this was requested information to have a hearing on the incident, on the matter, with proof provided by various things, with VADA as well, the VADA testing that took place. Of course, not putting the board in, but the board work alongside UKAD. This is not a case of no one knows about it. There was a process that was followed. It's not dodgy, it's not shoddy, it was followed, the rules were followed throughout this whole process, and a hearing took place.
And again, I just want to reaffirm that is not a good defense of this situation, because that is actually the main issue here. That is policy, that this is part of the process. That a fighter with an A sample testing positive for anabolic steroids and a B sample yet untested can still go on and fight 3 days out without his opponent knowing. The fact that that is policy is shoddy or shady, to use whatever word he used there. But we will continue.
Where that information, the VADA testing, everything was accepted, considered, and the ruling was Dillian Whyte is cleared to take part in the contest. That's it, really. Now, the information that will come out tomorrow and other bits and pieces will give you further information of that. And Dillian Whyte, I don't want to speak on Dillian Whyte's behalf, even though I'm his promoter, but he's got a lot to say on this matter. And there's a lot of legal cases flying around now with journalists and stuff like that who actually are reporting untruths. So there has been an issue.
So you're saying I don't get my facts right?
No, at the end of the day, I shouldn't even...
Again, I am really curious what untruths are being reported, Eddie, because you've yet to really name one. Think about it. He has yet to name one untruth in the reporting. Maybe he can't talk about it, of course, but what he did talk about only confirmed the reporting at this point. We will continue with a little bit more.
Me telling you this, but it's important to tell you this because I've had to go on my Twitter today and people just, I'm not the governing body. I'm not the border control. I'm not a physician. I'm not a doping agency. Rules are followed. We put as much in place as possible to prevent fighters cheating, right? We have VADA tests. It costs us a fortune. We spend, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on VADA testing. Right? We want to encourage it, and we encourage it in every fight. So we follow the paths of VADA. We follow, if we have to, and we're in that jurisdiction, the paths of UKAD. And this is what we did. And when he was asked to be present at this hearing, to be heard, it was heard. And he was cleared to fight. So, I don't know what else to tell you other than that, subsequent information to follow. But that part is very, very important to me because some of the accusations are, again, the injunction. Matchroom are seeking an injunction to stop the news. Absolute 1,000,000% bullshit. Bullshit. There's nothing to stop you from it. The process was followed. As far as I'm concerned, we did it.
There's nothing to to have an injunction about, because you are only confirming the reports because the reports are probably very true. Because you've yet to counter any specific thing in Thomas Hauser's reporting. That's actually probably why you're not filing an injunction on Hauser.
Exactly what we were required to do in this situation. I wasn't at the hearing. I don't handle that for Dillian Whyte. He followed the rules. He provided the information. He was cleared to fight.
Why wasn't Oscar Rivas'
Because
team informed
it's
of
not
this?
you're not informed about. If there's an incident and a guy fails a drugs test and he's banned from the fight, of course you're going to be told about that. When a guy's cleared to fight, you're not going to go to a fighter on the Thursday fight. Just to let you know, there was an issue with a test.
Why not?
He was cleared to fight, but just wanted to let you know.
Why not? Why not, Eddie? Let's hear your excuse as to why you wouldn't do that. Feels like it's very pertinent information to a fight that a fighter's A sample is positive for anabolic steroids, B sample is yet untested. He's having a hearing with an independent panel. Do you want to know the names of the people on the panel at least? Like, nope. You want to know about it at all? No. Why would he tell them?
I mean, psychologically, that's, if the board, if UCAD felt that, I don't know, he shouldn't be in the ring, or if this panel felt that he shouldn't be in the ring and he shouldn't be allowed to fight, he wouldn't have been allowed to fight. That was a process that...
I just wanted to point out that he actually didn't finish his thought because he quickly realized that was a really stupid idea. Just want to point it out.
Went through. So if you have a problem with that, if someone else has a problem with that, you've got to speak to them, and this process has got to be followed. But that's what we do. I can't, contractually, by the way, I can't pull a fight when both guys are cleared by a testing agency, both guys are cleared by the commission. How can I physically do that?
I know what you mean, yeah.
So, okay, he's cleared by UCAD, he's cleared by VADA, he's licensed by British Boxing Board of Control. Oh no, guys.
How can you physically do that? You can. You're going to lose money, Eddie, but you're taking a stance. But to Thomas Hauser's point that we talked about, or I talked about on yesterday's show, this is why you can't rely on promoters or networks to handle PD regulation. Because they have no monetary incentive to do so. He would lose money to postpone the fight and make, what would it be, Price Allen the main event and make it non-pay-per-view? Like, that's what he would have to do, right? But hey, I mean, why would he do that? He can't. He can. He won't. And I don't blame him. I'll make that perfectly clear. The job is not Eddie Hearn's job should not be a sanctioning body, should not be a regulatory body. That's not his job. His job is a promoter. I'll make that perfectly clear. The fault lies in large part, if not total part, with the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD in their handling of the situation. Absolutely. And their obvious policy that is that completely lacks transparency and is also not fighter first mentality. Like, it's not of a pro-fighter stance when it comes to this policy. It's actually an anti-fighter policy. And I just want to make that point clear because maybe Eddie Hearn fans later on are going to be upset that I'm going this hard at Eddie, but it's just the fact that, hey, look, this isn't a defense here. And I want to make sure that people out there parroting these defenses understand that's not a good defense to parrot. You're actually just echoing what the issue is. This process, this policy by the British Boxing Board of Control. About a minute left, and then we're going to move on.
Guys, you can't have the fight anymore. Why? Oh, because we had an inquiry on that, and no, it's been dealt with. So I understand some of the arguments from people, but...
Well, I want to make this perfectly clear. If an A sample is positive for anabolic steroids or any PD or any banned substance, not any banned substance, especially depending if it's out of competition or in a competition for banned substance, PEDs for sure. and the B sample is not back yet, it is not dealt with. Like it's definitionally not dealt with because the B sample is not back. Maybe he's clear to fight, but the situation is 100% not dealt with. Again, want to hammer these issues home.
We have to follow the rules of the governing bodies and the people who are making the decisions.
Yes,
and all of those rules are followed.
And again, and he is absolutely right there. Again, Eddie is smart because most of what he's saying is right, but he's saying it in a way that makes it sound like we're okay, like we were just doing our thing, like we're just following the rules. But I want to always point this out. This issue has now become a way bigger issue than Dillian Whyte. The issue is, primarily speaking, the British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD's policy on lack of transparency and their lack of giving fighters proper information on their opponents when it comes to drug testing. That is a massive issue. And the Fury Hammer case was, from what I remember being told and also quickly reading up, was almost exactly the same. So this needs to be addressed.
The B sample. Like you've been with
Again, I don't have the information on the.
Yeah.
People said there's a B sample being tested next week. I'm not aware of that. Again, I think that will be addressed in Dillian Whyte's sample. All I'm aware of is the fact that there was a hearing to determine whether Dillian Whyte should be allowed to fight or for the information provided, and that hearing took place, and he was clear to fight.
Well, my question was going to be like, if the B sample comes back that he has got this in the system, then
We can stop there because he goes on to talk about what would his relationship be like with Dillian Whyte if all this comes out to be true. This is going to be interesting to see how it goes down. I think, to be honest, again, none of the reporting was refuted. I would love for anyone out there in the comment section down below point out what did Eddie Hearn say in that clip, or the rest of the interview, because I'm not going to play the whole interview. Go check out IFL, obviously great stuff, and just overall great channel. Shout out to them. Obviously, it's their content. I am of the mindset that Eddie Hearn is in damage control and trying to listen to his lawyers and listen to how he needs to talk to the public and what he can and can't say, and he's doing a decent job of it. Because the wagons have been circled amongst his fan base, amongst Matchman's fan base. You guys have. I've seen it. It's okay. But understand that this interview has not refuted any of the reporting by Thomas Hauser. And on top of that, it fundamentally does not, I should say, Eddie Hearn is fundamentally not addressing the actual primary issue in this case. If he is addressing it, he's actually amplifying it in a way that he does not realize. You know, he's accidentally addressing this issue in a inaccurate way, so to speak, because the process is not a defense. The process is the issue. British Boxing Board of Control's policy is the main concern here with the situation, not Dillian Whyte, to be honest, at this point. Because now it becomes how many more fighters has this happened to? Cannot wait to see how this situation unfolds. Hit like button, share the show, leave a comment down below, all that stuff, because it's only going to get better. It's only going to get more interesting, and I cannot wait to report on all of it. And again, go check out the rest of that interview by IFL. Moving on.